On 26th of March 1886, an old lady died in a Bradford workhouse. Her name was Nancy De Garrs, and she was the nanny of the Bronte sisters. Now, sometime in 2019, the Undercliffe Cemetery actually found her resting place. Unfortunately, it was an unmarked grave, and there wasn't much funds around to actually install a new headstone for her. So I've put a video in the description which we shot 6 months ago, and you can look at the details of that. But today is a day after 136 years after her death. The Undercliffe Cemetery will actually put in a new headstone for Nancy De Garrs, and I'm here today to film or get some highlights of the event. So all you Bronte fans out there and local historians, I hope you enjoy this video.
Follow me. Big thank you today for Ian Galbraith from Galbraith Memorials in Bingley for installing the headstone in time for the Bradford Literature Festival this evening and helping us with the costs. Thank you also to Nancy's relatives and for others who have contributed, and special thanks to Stephen Metcalfe and the 𝗡𝗍 Road Reunion for their fundraising efforts. You might be asking, what is the background to all this? In 2019 we started research for our tours on the theme of the Bradford 𝗚𝗍. Our team of researchers were searching through the newspaper archives, old books and the internet to find as many people as we could that were classed as 𝗚𝗍s who were buried at Undercliffe Cemetery. There are 124,000 people buried at Undercliffe Cemetery, and it's a big task to find all the 𝗚𝗍s. I came across an old newspaper article that mentioned that Charlotte Bronte's nurse was buried here, and that she had died in the workhouse. Because I was fairly new as a volunteer at Undercliffe, I asked the other volunteers if they had heard of this. One person knew, but she didn't know where Nancy was buried. So we started to do the research. One of our volunteers, called Marjorie, found the burial records and the plot number, and it was slightly confusing because there were 3 different surnames. There were 4 burials in that plot, but 3 different surnames, so we had to discover who they actually were. There were 2 Scoleys, 1 Stocks and 1 Malone. Nancy had married twice. The first husband was John Wainwright, and the second husband was John Malone. After finding the order reference numbers, we went to West Yorkshire Archives and they printed a copy of the orders for us, and these are the orders for documents relating to each of the burials. Other volunteers helped with the research. Helen found John Wainwright's death information, which I just couldn't find anywhere, and others made contributions to the booklet. Gaynor did the proofreading for us, and we were ready to go. So we sent a draft copy to Anne Dinsdale at the Brontes Museum, and she pointed out a few things that needed changing. I also consulted her about the Bronte relics that Nancy had, and whether any of them had ended up in the Bronte Museum. She said that there was a letter from Patrick to Nancy which they had, and she gave me a copy, and this is it. A letter from Patrick Brontë to Nancy Garrs, which passed around there, is to say that Patrick thought that both Nancy and Sarah were loyal to her. If it is, I'm worth a fortune. but that is an ambrotype photograph on glass. And this were taken about the same time, 1850s. So she had it on the wall, so some of them didn't have this front piece, they just had a little hook at the top and you could hang it on the wall. We asked for a suitable verse to put on the headstone. They came back with 4 or 5 different options. And Irene chose one called 𝗡𝗆𝗆, and that is the one that's on the headstone, by Charlotte Bronte, written in January 1838. And Andrea's just going to read it to you.
I'll just have a short excerpt from that poem. The poem called 𝗡𝗆𝗆, written by Charlotte Bronte in 1838, was the one we thought would be a nice one to put onto Nancy's grave. And it's actually the start of the poem, and it starts, "There's no use in weeping, though we are condemned to part. There's such a thing as keeping a remembrance in one's heart."
Lovely, lovely.
That's actually a nice.
Yeah, it's fabulous that.
Perfect, isn't it? We have got other connections with the Brontës in the cemetery. Nancy's mum is buried here in an unmarked grave at the moment, over there. And we've got the 𝗡𝗆s who Branwell painted the portraits of, buried over there. And that's an interesting tale in itself. But let's go see the monument.
Thank you, John.
Oh, sorry, this way.
You want to get your mum through first?
Yeah. But I think any words that I deliver are probably rather inadequate, really. First of all, I would love to thank Steve and Alan and his team for all the work we've done, which is truly remarkable. This is, I mean, I'm an amateur genealogist, and you know, your own personal family history is a massively important thing to you when you're into family history. Steve took it on, you know, he didn't have that connection, but his diligence and attention to detail, from what I've seen, is incredible. So thank you, Steve, so much. Yes, well, I've never unveiled anything before. So here are the scissors. This is the plot. I should add that obviously there's more, you know, this is a multiple plot, not just Nancy, with her sister Mary, and her sister Mary's family by marriage, I think. You know, members of buried here. So yes, let's do the
Wow, beautiful.
You said that you were going to just one more for look. Thank you.
Cheers, Steve. Thank you, everybody.
Hello, my name is Mike Bennett, and I am a descendant of Nancy De Garrs' brother, Henry. Henry moved to Sheffield quite early in his life, but was always very proud of his sister's connections with the Bronte family. It's been a remarkable journey, really, for Nancy to get to a point where she is officially recognised in this plot. The time she spent here in an unmarked grave, it leaves me feeling rather sad, but thanks to the work of Steve and Undercliffe Cemetery,